Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It's summertime in the South. Don't you love it? Why would anybody want to go anywhere else? I just love being at home and enjoying summertime in the backyard. It's so great. You can barbecue, you can have a pool party, you can cut the grass, you can grow stuff. My wife has bird feeders out on the deck, and there's just all kinds of birds all over that feeder all the time. Little yellow finches, you name it, they're out there. Cardinals, it's beautiful. And there's all kinds of wildlife around. We got squirrels in the trees, they eat all my apples. We got ground squirrels, little chipmunks running along the ground, sort of like in Caddyshack, just like you make holes all over the place. But we got a lot of wildlife. It's so cool. There's even some big birds around. There's a big red hawk I see across the road every once in a while on the power line. Call him Big Bird. But he doesn't come into the yard too much. We have the old neighborhood dog, Phoebe, that comes down. She's about the size of a German Shepherd, must be 25 years old. But she likes to, whenever me and my wife are working in the garden, she'll just come down there and lay there and watch us work. It's just so cool, so peaceful, so nice. Now I like to plant stuff. Got that from my grandmother. My grandmother, she had a green thumb. She could plant a garden like 100 by 100. And I would go to see her every Saturday. And during the summer, I would stagger out with bagfuls of cucumbers and tomatoes and okra. I mean, she grew everything. And she could do it well. You go to her garden, you will not find one little weed out there. When one weed poked its little head up, she pulled it out. She stayed on top of things. So I have a vegetable garden as well. When tomatoes are coming in now, I pulled in a 5-gallon bucket of tomatoes Saturday. What fun. Now I've been there for 20 years we've been living in the same place. My wife had to get in on the action, so she's got to have flowers. So she started out planting some herself, but it's now a matter of buy that, run, dig a hole over there, dig a hole over there, dig a hole over there. So every year it's more and more stuff. It's starting to look like the Garden of Eden out there. I think the tomatoes will probably cost me something like $30 a pound with the labor and fertilizer I put on, but still there's nothing like homegrown tomatoes. Well, things being like they are, we decided to really go green and grow everything we could. And my wife, to boost things, had a great idea. We didn't want to buy all this bag of 10 like 50 bucks now, so we're using natural fertilizer. My wife had a great idea. She always goes to see the circus come to town. They have an animal walk, and she found out you can bring home elephant manure. So she got a Jeep load of elephant manure and brought that home this spring, and I think there was something else in there besides elephant manure because it's caused some strange reactions. I think there was some tiger manure or something in there too. So we started putting this stuff out on the plants, and stuff started growing like crazy. She put it on my tomatoes. I thought it was tomatoes, and they just overnight they would bloom and they'd be giant tomatoes. I thought they were watermelon turned inside out. They were so big. Turned out they were tomatoes, and they were just gigantic. We had cucumbers. You wouldn't believe the cucumbers. I like to slice them, in little round circles. These I cut long ways. I hollow them out in the middle, and I turn them into canoes. They're that big. This stuff makes stuff grow like crazy. And the flowers, you should see the flowers. They just jump out of the ground overnight. I've got beets this big. We can't find a pot big enough to cook them in. It's crazy. So the plants have become aggressive, but I think the animals got into this stuff too. Those little ground squirrels, I saw one the other day had Phoebe cornered in the backyard and was about to take her out. If I had opened the gate and let her go, I think that squirrel would have tore her to pieces. She hadn't been back to the house since. And you remember the red hawk that sat on the line? Well, he got a little bit too close to the backyard the other day, and one of those little finches flew up and grabbed that hawk, and it looked like Yoda with an evil emperor, slamming him all over the place. Feathers flying everywhere. Next thing you know, that hawk's gone. He hadn't come back. And I think my wife's exposed to the stuff too. She's getting kind of bossy, or bossier. It seems like every day I come home, she's standing on the porch with her shovel in the hand and wants me to plant something else. It's unbelievable. So we have planted just about every square inch of the yard. And there's just so much work to do. And that stuff's coming in like crazy though. We got flowers, we got vegetables, and we got some other stuff that looks a lot like that stuff that people used to smoke in the 60s. I think it's supposed to be a cash crop. But I look around in the yard, I see the stuff, I don't know if I'm supposed to eat it or look at it or smoke it. But we got stuff everywhere. If I get home in time tonight before dark, I don't know what it is. I think somebody sold her some magic beans or something. But she told me I got some more stuff to plant. So when I get home tonight, I'm going to have to jackhammer up the driveway because we don't have any other place to plant stuff to plant these new beans. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I just can't wait to see what we get. We've gone all natural. We're all green, and it's wonderful. It's summer in the backyard. But whatever that stuff is, don't let your wife get hold of it. I'm scared to go home. She tells me to do something. She says, plant a hole there. I plant a hole there. I'm not going to argue with a woman standing there with a shovel in her hand. But come up to the house sometime and help me pick some crops. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pick corn this weekend. As soon as I go by Lowe's, I've got to pick up a 24-foot A-frame ladder so I can get up there and get to the ears because it's gigantic corn. It's great. So, Mr. Toastmaster.